and harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zymet.
Hello and welcome to the Beverly Zymet Show, where being the best you has just gotten easier. My guest today is calling in from Barbados. Wow. Nikisha Prince Hayes, welcome to the show.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on one of the best shows.
Well, we'd like to think it's the best show, right? I think everybody who hosts a show, they're going to say, yes, we're the best, right? So, Nikisha, you tell me that you're an author and a speaker, right? So,
yes,
what is it that your book is all about? Tell us the name of your book and how we can get a hold of it.
Okay, so the name of my book is called Your Client is Not Your Friend. It's available on Amazon in the paperback and ebook version. And it's basically teaching entrepreneurs, startups, and even seasoned business owners how to separate their personal lives from their professional life, because we do find it difficult, and the book is based on some of my personal experiences and that of others that we go through on a day-to-day basis as entrepreneurs.
You know, that's kind of true, where a lot of times we forget to separate our personal lives from our business lives. And that doesn't always work so good, especially if your partner's working together in a business. You know, back in the 80s, my partner and I, we had a business going, and he became a part of my business and took care of all the books and the stocking the shelves and everything. And we made a pact right from the very beginning. We do not take the bedroom to work, and we do not take work to the bedroom. Deal? Deal, right? That's kind of how we put it in those terms. And really, it made life so much easier, because if there was, an argument or something that, just didn't quite jive in your personal life, and you took that into the business would suffer. So what I found also too, vice versa, but whenever that happened, now you're in that different environment, and then everything is kind of forgotten and left behind, and you're carrying on, as if everything was just fine, because it is in that realm, it is. Then when you leave that, whether it's leaving work or leaving home, right, and you close that door to open the other door, and then you're going to pick up where you left off, it doesn't happen. So what I found, and you let me know what you have found with yourself and with clients, that when you do that, it's like that healing process, it's just like it stops. So if you're in a heated argument at home and you go to work and now everything is fine, you got to run it, business as normal, you go back home and you try to pick up where you left off, it's like it isn't even worth it, right? It's like, okay, that's it. I've been with this person all day long and everything is great. It's like, done. Have you noticed that?
Well, unfortunately for me and my partner do not work in the same business, but I have found myself in situation with close friends and family whereby it was difficult of drawing that boundary line. And then when you do try to draw the boundary line between the personal life and the professional life, then somebody's feelings got hurt and somebody stopped talking to somebody, and it was hard. And funny enough, I have a friend who works with her husband in the same business. They're together, and it's like every day they're together working, and when they get home, it's like she said it's difficult because sometimes the husband end up bringing home the problem from work at home, and then they're quarreling about the same thing they quarrel about at work at home, and
Right.
her relationship. So I've told her you gotta draw the boundary line at some point in time, because it makes it difficult for both persons. Both persons can be hurt in the process.
And that is so true. And that's why, when you are working together like that, whether it's friends or lovers, it doesn't matter, right? If you're in a friendship relationship over here, regardless of what that relationship is, and you're in a business relationship over here, that friendship has to like stay outside that door, right? And a lot of times it's really hard. I know a lot of people also that struggle with that. It's like, how do you do that? Well, it's not how do you do that, you just do it, right? If you want to succeed at business, you have to be focused on what that business is, what it is that you're doing to serve others. Because if you're sitting here all day long with this, like, edge in your side, what's going to happen is everybody that you communicate with in that business, whether it's fellow employees or whether it's even your boss, right? If you guys work, if you work in the same facility, but if your clients are going to pick up on that, and they're going to like, what the heck, and after a while, they're going to be gone, right? They have enough of their own problems. They don't want to come into a place where they're doing business and have that same thing, right? So it can be very touchy. And you just have to make an agreement. Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree, right? And it's those open lines of communication, and ask yourself, is it really worth destroying, right? Whether it's the business or the personal or both, because if one dies, they both die. One dies, they both die, right? So what's more important? That penny ante little nitpicky whatever it is, am I right and they're wrong, or vice versa? What is the issue? And is it worth losing what you've built together, right?
Yes. So like I've told some clients, sometimes you have to say no.
Yes.
So sometimes it's worth it to say no to like family members or close friends. If you think that it's going to cause a problem within your relationship, whether it be friendship or a love relationship, it is better to say no and refer the person to somebody else, just to save your business relationship and your personal relationship. So as much as you might want the money and you may need the client, I think at times it's better to say no. It's going to be hard, but it makes it easier in the long run to say no than to say yes, and then you lose both. You lose the business connection and you lose your personal connection with your friend or your family or even your lover. So you don't want that bickering and that fussing and fighting. So just draw the line from the start.
Right, and it's easier to do that like right at the beginning, not when you're halfway into it, right? Or thinking that, well, they're thinking the same way you are. Not necessarily. Never assume anything, right? That assume word, right? And so it really does make a difference on how you perceive different things. And again, it's you can't reiterate it enough that business is business and personal is personal. And they say the hardest people to do business with is family and friends. And there's a reason for that, right? And it doesn't, it really doesn't matter whether your friends or family are clients or customers, right? Or if they're actually in the business with you, the same thing can happen, right? Oh, well, hey, wait a minute, I'm family. I'm your best friend. You should give it to me for nothing or for free. Or have you heard that one before?
Definitely. And funny enough, I've had a situation like that, that even I have it in my book, whereby, your own family took advantage of your services. And also in my book, I wrote in my book that it's not mandatory to give discounts or to work for free for your family or your friends. It's never mandatory. So you just got to let them know that, hey, this is a business, because at the end of the day, although I might be the business owner, I still have bills to pay. I have light bill, I have internet bill, I
Right.
have you have bills to pay. So the business doesn't just thrive like that. So at the end of the month, I cannot tell the internet company, well, oh, well, I give my cousin or I give my mother or sister the job for free, and there's no money. They're not concerned about that. They
No,
want
they
their
don't
bills to
care.
pay. That's
They
all
don't
it is.
care.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
gotta draw the boundary lines. It's never mandatory to give discounts or to work for free for no family, close friends, and even a loved one.
Yeah. And I've had that happen quite a few times. It's like, well, can't you just tell me what you're doing? Can you tell me how you do it and how you put it together? And it's like, I could. Doesn't pay my bills, you know? And they're like, yeah, but I said, there's no buts. This is my business. This is my profession. I've spent money training myself. I've invested in me so that I could do what I'm doing, in a bigger content. And so if I just give it away to everybody, yeah, but I'm not everybody. Yeah, but all it takes is one. He said, oh yeah, go talk to Beverly. She'll give it to you for nothing. Oh yeah, just tell her I sent you over, right? It's like, no. I played that game a few times. When you're young and not wise, shall we say, right? You ever get, we all get caught up in that at one point in our life. And then where do you draw the line? And so, what you said earlier, just say no.
Yes, definitely. And I've learned the hard way, and that's what actually birthed my book. Because you know it's funny enough that as startup entrepreneurs, when you're now getting out there, you just want to be out there, make your mark, so you're willing to work for free, or you're willing to work at a discounted price
Right.
just to say that, hey, I've worked with Beverly, or I've worked with Jim Jones or somebody, just to get out there. You're willing to work for free. So when I started my business, Prestige Admin, I started out, I was just literally looking for opportunities to work for free for somebody, or to work at a discounted way less than I deserved. And although, like you said earlier, I've invested so much, spent money, invested into myself, of learning the techniques and the skills that I know, and I was willing to put it all out for free just to get my mark or to learn something.
Right.
And in the end, it caused me a lot of tears, heartaches, drama, loss of income, and I realized that it wasn't
Yeah.
worth it. So I thought to myself, there are going to be entrepreneurs after me, and there are even some seasoned entrepreneurs that I would have had a chat with that find themselves in the same situation where they're working for free, or they're having problems drawing that boundary line. So I thought, why not write a book where persons can learn from my mistakes and learn from that of others? So my book is simplified in such a way that I'm not only saying, Beverly, do not give free discounts, but there's a story that goes with why I say do not give a free discount. So my book is written in, like, I would say, a layman term that anybody could just basically grab a copy and read and understand exactly what I'm trying to say, because there's a story that goes with what I am
Right.
saying.
The stories are what sells. You can put in facts and everything, but it's those stories that sell. And it really is so true, when we learn these things, and why it's expected of us to always give, give, give. I don't know. I never understood that, right? And it's like, I'm not asking for you to give me everything that you know for free. Why are you asking me to give you for free? Right? And, so where's that line? And some people will push when you say, no, not going there. And then well, why not? Why not? Why not? It's like, what part of no don't you understand? The N or the O? you know, you know,
Yes, I've
sometimes,
had those.
yeah, sometimes you make enemies too. Not everybody's going to like you, but that's okay. There's
Yeah,
billions of people on the planet. I'll guarantee somebody out there is going to like you, right?
like the cliche here, business does not have friends and company. So somebody, like I tell my clients, even if this person doesn't pay or do not want to pay, somebody's gonna come along that's gonna value your service and
Right.
see that you worth it, and they're gonna pay you for it. And again, this is from personal experiences, because when I decide to draw that boundary line, I've had clients that came along that valued my services and paid me more than I even imagined or thought that I was worth. So
Right.
one person said, I think that this is what you deserve for this job. And there's even extra that goes with a job because it's done to perfection. So do not worry about persons that would not want to pay for your service or might want to see you as an enemy. It's okay. The right person is going to come along eventually.
Right. And you tapped on a big word here, value. value. If you don't value your services and your skills, then that person out there is not going to value it. So when you give it away, you don't even get a frame of reference. You don't even get a testimonial, right? If you did it for free, because they don't value and they really don't get exactly or get the outcome that they're seeking, because they know, and somewhere inside they're feeling a little bit guilty, right? So they're not going to get the full result, or if they do, they're definitely not going to let it know it came from you, right? So you've got the pros and cons on both sides of the fence and how that functions and how that works. So again, when that's happening, you want to take caution with that. So there's many reasons of why you don't give what you do away for free. Now, can you pay it forward once in a while or get an exchange? I mean, I've helped people, that I knew they were struggling. I knew their sincerity, and everybody knows somebody. And it's like, all right, let's make a deal time. I get your sincerity, but there has to be an exchange here to make it, an even exchange, right? So that you have value with what you're going to get, and I have value giving it to you. So if you can go out and find just three people who are interested in joining, then I will give, in return, I will give you my services. And that always seems to work out really, really well, because if they're serious and really committed to themselves, they're going to go out there and make sure that they find three people that will commit to you, to the workshop or whatever it is, so that they can, get it, because they know the value of it and they know how much they want it. That makes a huge difference with something like that, right? Yeah.
So true. And even as business owners, sometimes I say this all the time. I'm not saying to persons that you cannot or should not give discounts, because sometimes you flex a bit, because business is all about flexibility.
Right.
So you might flex a bit in giving discounts, or you might flex, like you said, in doing a service for free, but in exchange for something. But you gotta know when and who to do that exchange with,
Right.
or when and who to give that discount to, because some persons might genuinely need the service or need the offer, but you gotta know when and if you can afford it. So if you think that, okay, I would reach six figure, and for my fourth anniversary or fifth anniversary, I'm gonna do a half price of my services, or I'm gonna do a day for free. You gotta know when you think it's the right time, but not nobody coming to say, okay, well, Beverly, I think you should. It gotta
Right.
be coming genuinely from you, that you feel that this is the time that I would do so and so, but it's not demandable or demanded from no
Right.
one.
Exactly. And that's a very important point, to make, to what's going on at that time of your life. And if you're trying to hit, a certain quota or whatever of people, and, to do it, like you say, for a discount, just to hit a mark or milestone or whatever, and then sometimes you just out of nowhere, it's like out of the kindness of your heart, you want to say, hey, for all of you out there that weren't able to, you have 24 hours, it's going to be this price for 24 hours only, right? If they see it and they jump on, great. If they don't, they missed out, so, it just kind of keeps things a little exciting once in a while, and pick up the livelihood or whatever. So there's so many different ways and avenues that you can do that. And, working for free, like you said, doesn't cut it. You can tell your Verizon or AT&T or whomever, oh, well, I gave all my services away for free this month, so you should give me yours for free, right? Not so much, right? Not so much.
Never gonna happen.
You go to the grocery store, well, I don't have any money for groceries because my last client I did for free. Well, maybe you should bring your last client in and they can pay for your groceries for you, right? So, and again, I think that's something that people don't recognize when they're asking you to do something for free. right? It's like, would you, and you can comment, would you ask your doctor to see you for free? Would you ask the grocery store to give you groceries for free? Would you ask the dentist to do your things for free? Would you ask the gas company over here to fill your tank for free? Then why are you asking me? And so sometimes you have to kind of put it out there hard hit like that, and it kind of hits below the belt, but at the same time you kind of get your point across, right?
Yes, definitely. And it's also funny enough that you might find persons out there, especially your close friends and your family, might not be willing to pay for your services, but then you would see that same person go out there and take money and pay full price for somebody else's services, but to pay
Right.
for your own services, it's a problem. So you don't want to pay me for my services, but here it is, you going out there and paying a stranger full price without even asking or budgeting for a discount. But to do the same
Right.
for me, it's you.
Right, and that is so true. I've seen that happen so many times. Like you said, you're doing the same type of work, and it's like all of a sudden they don't value you. But yes, they go out and they pay full price to somebody they don't even know, or it's even twice as much as what your services are. It really puts kind of a knife, in your gut. When that happens, it's like, oh my gosh, why would somebody do that? Because there's so many other emotions now that start to play in, and you say no. Is this revenge? You think about it, but again, they're asking of you something that they're not asking a total stranger. And that's why it's really hard sometimes to separate that. So when your friends are in business, if they're doing something of value, support them in that value of what they're doing. And don't ask them to not value what they do when it comes to you, that you're going to pay them. Let them know. And where's your integrity? You have to ask yourself, wow, where's my integrity if I'm asking my friends to do their skill to me for free? And if there's an exchange, it's like, hey, you're a massage therapist, right? And I can do kinesiology. You want to flip, I'll do you and you do me? Okay, great. I'm all for that. But again, it's an exchange for value, right? It's kind of going back in the barter days. You got a cow and I got a chicken. I need milk and you need eggs. Okay, all right? So you can do that. But again, there's a limit on what you do with that too, because if you're bartering everything, that still doesn't pay the bills, right?
Exactly.
And
And I
so,
think also in bartering that the bartering needs to be fair, because if my services is valued, let's say at $50, or your service is valued at $50 and my services is valued at $500, then it still doesn't cut it. So you have to
right.
be fair as well in the bartering to ensure that you reach each other halfway. So I'm not saying that it has to be the same exact value, but at least it should be worth it.
Yeah, it's got to be, in close proximity, like you say. Yeah, you're not giving somebody a Tootsie Roll and you just gave them, a case of candy bars, so to speak. It's like, whoa, wait a minute here, right? So, yeah, it's interesting, the human element. And sometimes you wonder, what's going on up here in this 6 inches, right? What is really going on up here? And I mean, I've had people just blurt some things out sometimes that it actually sets me back. It's like it's hard to get me to, you know, not have something to say. But once in a while, someone will say something that I just like, whoa, I have no words for that. And it just like threw me for a loop so intently and so strong that it's like somebody actually really thought this and then they said it. So it's just like when you start looking at it from those perspectives, it's like, wow, right? So it's interesting, that you've written a book about that because really it's something that needs to be said. It's not always a comfortable subject, but it is a fact. It is a fact, and you have to kind of ask yourself before you even ask that person to give you what they give their services away for free. It'd be like, okay, we're best friends, right? And you have a daycare service and I got a little kid. Well, you can watch my kid for free, right? Wrong. you know, it's gone are the days where I used to watch a friend's kid for a while, when they just, for a couple hours because they were running to town, they didn't want to drag the kid. No problem. Same thing. Okay, hey, I got to do this. I got to run here and do this and that. Can you watch my kid? Yeah, sure. There's your exchange. But if it's your business, then it no longer becomes an exchange, right?
Yeah.
So, how long has your book been out?
Actually, I released my book last Easter Monday to be exact.
Oh, so it's brand new.
Yes, please.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. How'd you feel the first time you held that book in your hands?
The feeling was unexplainable, and what made it even greater, I should say, is that when I released the book on Easter Monday of last year, in less than 12 hours, the book was ranked #1 new release. So that was really a great feeling. And in 3 weeks' time, I had #1 new release 3 times. I hit bestseller rank #3, 4, and 8. And presently, my book is still listed in the top 100 bestseller rank. So for me, that's a great accomplishment.
It
And
is. It is.
the next step is
Congratulations. Hey, give her a big hand of applause out there, It's it's really interesting that what being an author can do for your spirit, for your business, just opening doors, You don't get rich off of a book, right? But you can definitely move into arenas that were never thought of before when you say you're a published author. And then being a #1 published author, it just it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
definitely, because also I self-published my book.
Okay.
So, and persons would ask me like, "How is the book sales? How is the book sales?" And I would be like, honestly, I do not check my book sales. It might seem odd, but I do not check my book sales. Like what you said, I told persons, books don't make money. It's the opportunities that comes from the book is what
Right.
makes money. So I do not depend on my book sales, but rather the opportunities that comes from the book.
Right. Yeah, and it makes a huge difference. I can remember when I wrote my book, and this has been quite a few years ago when my first book came out, when someone told me, that if you start introducing yourself as an up and coming author, you're going to start to see and feel something completely different from people and how they respond to you. It's like, interesting, right? So I was doing a lot of networking when I lived in Vegas, right? And so I decided when I went to these events and somebody asked me what I did, I was going to tell them I was an up and coming author, right? And the first time I did that, the response, I was like almost in shock. Oh my gosh, what are you writing about? When's it going to come out? And just all these questions and stuff. And it's like they moved you from here to up here, right? It's like you just went up on this pedestal and it's like, oh my gosh, they weren't kidding. And all I said, I was just I wasn't an author yet. I was up and coming, right? And then the more I said it, and the more response I was getting, the same responses all the time. It's like, if you haven't gotten started with that book and you start saying that, well, you're going to get yourself a little motivated a lot faster because it will push you, right? I've heard that from a lot of different authors. I've been thinking about it, so I just tell people, yeah, I'm thinking about writing. Oh, what are you going to write about? Oh, let me know when it comes out. And it's like, oh boy, now I really committed because you stated, right? So it can backfire if you're not really sure that you want to. But since that first time, I've learned it doesn't have to take a lot of grueling time to write a book, because now you can write a book in a weekend, right? And there's ways of doing that, ways of breaking that apart. And I actually teach a little class on that, how to write a book in a weekend, right? And how to get it published in a week, so you can do these things. And I also teach people how to start their own shows, right? If you want to have your own podcast, your own show, and how to be professional in the eyes of the camera, right? And some of the greatest fears out there, of course, the number one fear in the world is public speaking, right?
Definitely.
Right? And public speaking entitles a lot of things. It doesn't mean you're just up there on the stage talking. It's a recorded talking as well. It's like, oh my gosh, who's watching me, right? And but oh my gosh, I as far as doing a Facebook Live or doing Zooms like this, it was no big deal. But the first time I did a webinar, I had to do a webinar with this company, right? And all I was talking into was a black screen, right? And I'm like, okay, it's dead silent. You're doing your thing, right? And all the time in my head, I'm thinking, is it even recording? Is there anybody out there? That was a strange, it wasn't a fear. It was just strange, right? Because I had never done a webinar like that before, right? And it was an hour. It wasn't just a half an hour, it was a full hour, right? Had it all broken down, did it, and the hour was up, right? And I did my ending, and she told me, when I was done, just to sit and look into the camera for a minute, right? And I did. And then pretty soon, poof, she jumps back on. It's like, okay, so did it record? She said, yeah. She said, you did a great job. It was like, and it's like, well, that's good to know, right? Because that was strange. That was strange. And I don't know because it was a recorded webinar, maybe that's what made it different, from other webinars. But I'll tell you, sometimes, but being in the face of the camera can be really scary, and people are being filmed and they don't know they're being filmed, and they're just organic and they're just natural and they do great, right? And they don't even know, with their animations and everything else that's going on, right? And then it's like, okay, I want you to do the same thing you did over here. What do you mean over here? It's like, well, let me show you, right? And then you show them and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know you were recording. Oh. It's hilarious, the responses you get, right? And it's like, okay, so just stand in front of the camera and just talk, just like you were talking over there. Oh my God, I can't do that. Why? It just did it, right? It's so interesting, the fear and the insecurities and everything that just pop right up in their face when they actually have to just stop, and the thought of, oh my gosh, here's this pieces of equipment that's staring at me, right? And too, a lot of people don't know. I mean, so if you look at me and you see the name across the top here, right? You can read it correctly, and that's a mirrored image. What a lot of people don't realize is when they're doing Facebooks with their phone, they have it this way. And it's all fine and dandy, but as soon as they pick up something, to show them, to read, what happens is it's all backwards, right? And they don't realize that, when in actuality, they should be looking into the little camera. Where is it over here? Oh, up here, right? They should be looking at this little camera up here, and then everything would be forward, but they don't see anything. All they see is the back of the camera. So if they're at least looking at themselves, they feel like they're looking at somebody's looking back, right? So it's kind of comical that way. And another big mistake that a lot of people make when they're doing their lives, or even recordings and stuff, they have their cameras like this, so it's vertical when it really needs to be horizontal, right? Even if you had any kind of photography classes or anything like that, you should always take things at a horizontal, not at a vertical, right? Unless you're zooming in or something, there's reason, different times to do that. So when I teach people how to start their show and why to do it and different equipment to use, what's better for recording than something else, how you can animate it where it can go out through all your social platforms instead of having to copy and paste type of thing. So there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, including the vocal tones and stuff like that, right? And I've noticed, and these are just things that are just because I've done this for so long, right? It's just like you keep moving closer and closer into the camera, and so now your head's cut off, right? And it's like, well, that's not a good thing, right? So, but it's it's those things that you don't know. So when you're coming into the eyes of the camera, these are things that how you got things set up and everything else. So there's a lot of little secrets that go on behind the scenes, right? And it's like, okay, is the lighting? There you go. Now she's looking good. Yeah, and that's the difference. And wearing a headset or earphones are so much better because you take away any kind of echo, so it gives a better quality, when you're talking. So there's just all these little tidbits that you don't think about, and you don't know what you don't know. And again, that's part of that investing in yourself and learning how to do these things, right? And one thing I'll give you a big plus here, okay? As she moves her background there, your background is blank, which is nice. It's better than your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, your bathroom, the countertops, right? Because people will get drawn away from that. And they'll start looking as to what's behind you and all that kind of stuff, and they lose track of what you're trying to say. Okay? Yeah. So that's the difference in being a professional or just doing something, right? And so, but you're getting it. I said it. I didn't tell you to do anything. And then all of a sudden she starts moving it. So you're listening, and that's a good thing. But there's a lot that goes on with the show when you're doing a podcast. If you're only doing audio, that's a little bit different. All you gotta do is check. Let's see, is it way up here, way down here, right? And the sound check, and that's about it. But when you're doing video, there's so much more that goes into the video, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, but let's go back into your speaking, okay? Have you been on a lot of stages? Are you looking to get onto a lot of stages? Where are you looking to take your speaking?
For me, I'm trying to take my speaking global. I've been on a few stages thus far, and I must say during the COVID lockdown, since we're now on lockdown and nobody could go anywhere, I've done a couple of webinars, my last being for 256 persons globally, and it was put together by a company in Ghana, and that was really great. It was myself and 5 other international speakers, and from that opportunity, I have 2 other opportunities, one to speak at a webinar in Ghana and another one for a university in Nigeria. So that's what I'm currently working on. And I'm looking post-COVID to be on more webinars or in-person shows. I had one lined up for Trinidad in October, but unfortunately because of the coronavirus, I cannot pull that off.
Right. And that has really put a damper on a lot of people. And my partner and I started a business in virtual reality, the little avatar virtual reality world, right? And we've opened it to speakers and authors. We actually did a vendor event. We're going to have another one at the end of this month, and we're going to do them monthly, right? And so I want to invite you. I'll share some more of that later, but and it gets you on stages. It gets you globally because how we're doing it, and working with people from all over the world to interact, to be able to exchange business to business and to network. So it started out just as a networking all over the world that turned into these events that are starting to really blossom since the COVID. We had no idea it was going to take off like this, and
Congratulations.
yeah, it's been pretty exciting. It's been pretty exciting because when I shared with my partner, it's like, okay, we got to do more. If we're going to do this networking thing and we're going to really do it big, we need more than just getting people to, come in and join up with a chapter, and be like your chamber groups or your BNI type of groups, It's like, let's start doing events. Let's do some vendor events where people can really come in and mingle. And he's like, I don't know anything about that stuff. And he said, well, I tell you what, I know all about how to put events together. Because it is the avatar world, you have to have the build outs in there, right? The platforms and stuff. I said, that's your specialty. You do that, and I'll take care of it on this side. He goes, deal. and and so we just started. We just started in it, right? COVID hit. Now it's kind of like really there. It's like 2 weeks or so into this whole mess. And we started getting serious about it. We had some people come on board that saw the vision and said, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of that. Okay. So in 5 weeks, we put the whole thing together, but it was like the last 10 days, we filled up, I think it was 23 tables we ended up getting full, right? And because there was so many things behind the scenes that had to get finished. But we pulled it off, we put it out there, and for the time element, it was really a great success. So now we're excited about the next one, the next one, the next one. But it has led to more people coming to us now with like, okay, we saw this little event that you did, but can you like do something like on a big scale? Well, what's a big scale, right? Because so one's version of a big scale is different than somebody else's, right? And they start coming at us with like 1,500, 2,000 booths, right? Okay, we're going to have 50 to 100,000 people walking through here. It's like, whoa, okay, that's talking really big. We get it. So it's like, all right, and then for different things, because we have this beautiful big speaker stage, right? And we're going to have some top name speakers, that are coming in to talk and stuff on the stages in the avatar world, which is where it's all going, and how we did business prior to this whole COVID thing is not the same business we're going to do afterwards. So we feel really blessed being on top of it and being out in the forefront and being the pioneers with this, that it's going to be great for everyone concerned, right? And to be able to help so many people all around the world. It's just like your book, okay? So you're down there in Barbados, and you got your little arena down there, and it's touching people's, and yes, it's international because you went across the borders, right? That's all it takes. Go across the border, you're international. I mean, I did work in Canada, I'm international, right? So, but to be global is different than just being international, right? So to be able to do that, and what I'm also putting together is specifically for speakers and authors, anyone that's in the media, or how to get to that media, and just have a vendor event for that, and invite like the big publishing houses like Hay House and those, really have the top end of everything, and the ones who are, that have the ISBN numbers for speakers or for authors, different editors, here's an editor, here's someone who does maybe covers, graphics, and anything and everything about that. TV stations, radio stations, podcasters, to where these speakers can actually interact with them, get on their shows and book right there at the event, right? So I'm looking for a lot of speakers, and I'm looking for a lot of authors, to come together with this, because it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And you fit that bill, right? And so it all starts little, and then it gets bigger, right? So again, it's how can we serve you? This show was designed, being the best you that you can be, is to meet up with people like yourself, to get that exposure, right? And exposure is key to everything, right? Regardless of what's going on in your business, and going back into what your book is all about, that exposure. When you understand business and you understand personal life, and where that fine line is and how you can separate that, right, is where the successes come from, right? And you have to have that clarity and that understanding, because your personal relationship isn't going to be global, but your business can. How you treat your business is how you treat your partner outside of business, right? Whether that's someone you live with, if it's a friend, or if it's a total stranger, right? You should not treat them differently, regardless of whatever aspect it is that they are. And when we can learn that, then we can grow in both relationships, right? So, there's a lot of advantages to being in a business with your partner, but there's a lot of disadvantages. But again, you have to know what's on both sides of the fence, and what are you willing to give up to gain, right? Where is your ego in all of this, right? So your book is so well needed, out there, and I would love to, see you get it out there, more than just the little part of the globe that you're on, but really get it out there full bore, and be a part of this, if this is something that interests you, right? And, just move and move and move, because it's all about, how can I serve you? How can we serve the masses? How can you make a difference? How can that little book that you have make a difference? Because if only one person read it and it changed their life, it was worth it, right? And, that's what it's all about, is getting your word out, getting your story out. So I kudos off to you, and congratulations on being, up there at the top with it. That's awesome. Let's see what we can do to just really inundate and just saturate the whole globe, right? That's why the globe is back here, because this is where we want to take everyone, is around the planet, right? With the networking, with interacting, and the ultimate is to really honor, respect, and admire and appreciate everyone out there, because we're all one, and bring some harmony and peace to the world. That's my goal, right? That's my goal. So thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate it. And if people want to reach you, how can they find you?
I'm available on all social handles at Your Client Is Not Your Friend. My Instagram, Your Client Is Not Your Friend, or Prestige Admin Services. Facebook, I have a Facebook group that surrounded my book, Your Client Is Not Your Friend. Also on Prestige Admin Services. And I have Twitter, Your Client Is Not Your Friend.
Okay, your client is not your friend. You guys got that? You got that? Your client is not your friend, right? And your friend sometimes shouldn't be your client, right?
Definitely.
Maybe that can be part 2.
I'll work on it.
There you go. There you go. See, books get created right here. I had a gentleman on that was on today at noon, and he was talking about different things that he did. And I asked him, why aren't you writing a book about this? He goes, well, I don't know, I kind of thought about it. I said, thought about it? Look, you just gave me all your chapters right here, and I just broke it down for him, right? And I said, you need to write this book. And I spoke with him after the show today, right? And he said they got it started. It's like, yes, yes. Because, a very wise man, someone that I followed and is still true to my heart, is Wayne Dyer. And he made a statement that I will never forget, and that is, don't die with your story inside you. Right? Right? Don't die with your story inside you. Get it out, because it will make a difference in someone's life, regardless of what it is. There will be at least one person that will read that, and that will change their life. Okay? So, Nikisha, thank you again so much for being here. Everyone go out there and find her. And what is the name of your book again?
Your client is not your friend.
That's right. Your client is not your friend. So for now, it's time to go out there, be that best you that you can be, because Nikisha and I are going to be the best we that we can be. And we'll see you all on the next show.